Hello. All right. So I am so glad you're here. Like I said, I'm Vanessa Shipley, and I help family and consumer science teachers with their classroom management and teaching resources for their classroom. And I'm actually going to come in here every Thursday, coming to you guys live, and I'm going to give you guys some tips and tricks on how to better manage your classroom, and also some different things that you could do for like behavior management and stuff like that. Before I begin, if you have not grabbed the 7 secrets to becoming an amazing family and consumer sciences teacher, I will put the link below. You go ahead and grab that so that you have that. It comes with a checklist so you guys can kind of check it off once you feel like you have mastered that. So, let's see here. All right, so let's get started. So the topic tonight is going to be on a positive culture in your classroom. There's a lot of good things that happens with positive culture. One of them is it allows the learning to go at a deeper level. So it also makes the students feel safe and feel comfortable so that they can make mistakes. They can really learn at their best level. So what can we do to become a positive culture within your own classroom? First off, let's talk about like how you set up your room. How you set up your room actually really kind of sets the tone kind of thing. I've actually done it where I've done all different kinds of seating to try to find the best seating for my students. And that's the thing. There's no certain, you have to sit your kids like this way. It's more what fits your style, your teaching style, but what also fits your kids. When I did rows, I try to just go back to the old school and do rows. And what I found was I could not have my students engage with each other very well. And if we did like group projects, it was harder for them to do that. And it just didn't seem like it was working near as well. I also had at one time these big large tables, and I had 6 to 8 at a table together. And that just seemed like it was mass chaos is really what I felt like it was, because one kid from one end would try to talk to the other in the category, at the other end of the table, and it did not work out well. What I ended up doing was groups of like 3 to 4, and that seemed to work really well. It was just enough kids together that they could engage and work well together, but it's also not so many that it wasn't like a hangout spot kind of thing. And I can also separate those who needed to be separated just a little bit more. So, let's see here. Let's move on to the next one. And where it's basically having the kids take ownership in your classroom. One thing that I did is I actually had students create posters. They were creating there's a group project where they created these posters that they had to actually draw out, and it was pretty elaborate. And each group, it came together, all together, and so the kids were pretty proud of it. But I ended up that year laminating it, and then I used it as a big bulletin board the next year, and I could not believe how much these kids were so happy that I put it up there. And they kept talking about how they did it, and what one person did and what one person didn't do, and laughing about their mistakes and everything else. And it was just like it was their project that was the bulletin board in my classroom. So much so that I really wanted to change it about quarter or semester, and I felt like I couldn't because that was theirs, and they loved it. So let's see here. So that's just one way that I myself gave them some ownership in my classroom and made it feel like it was kind of theirs. Another way that I try to do give them some ownership in my class is I would take pictures of them, random pictures, like maybe in my classroom doing projects, or maybe at a pep assembly, or at a ball game, or just maybe I took a picture of their art that's on display or something like that. I would just take pictures of random things. And then I would put it on the computer screensaver. And then, so, like, when we would get to doing projects and stuff, it would pop up, and then pictures would pop up of them. And they love that. Oh, they love that. Let's see here. You can also have, like, a name board. You can have, where they can kind of put their names and kind of graffiti wall kind of thing. Just different things that let them have a space in your classroom. Let them have a spot where they feel like they left their mark is really kind of what it's all about, I guess. Okay, let's transition into giving jobs. Part of the positive culture is, giving your students some jobs that they can do. Some of those chores that, nobody really wants to do, but at the same time, it really does help take ownership within the classroom. So going back to the ownership thing, but just different things that I have had them do was like folding laundry, organizing, the cubbies, like my sewing supplies and stuff. They would organize that stuff. Just, clean out the dishwasher. I even have them swept the floor. So if they had any extra time, that's what I would have them do. I would have them do these chores so that they kept busy. I'm a big advocate on making sure you keep busy with your kids. Letting them just sit there, I feel like is kind of detrimental to learning, kind of thing. Because then that's what they're expecting. That's what they want the whole time is, can I hurry up with this so that I can sit and do nothing? That's not what we're here for at school, right? Or what you're there for at school. So another important part of positive culture is greeting students at the door. That's probably the first thing that you can do to create a positive culture is to greet them at the door. All students. The early students, the late students, and all in between. I feel like I try to do this most days, but it does get hard because you're constantly, helping people pick up, or you're talking them to a student about their behavior or something. But I did make a point of most days trying to welcome kids into my classroom. And if I wasn't at the door, I tried to connect with the students, as before we started. So that's getting them to talk to you, just to get that relationship started. That's a very good positive culture. Let's see here. The last important tip that I'm going to give you today is give your students something to look forward to in your class. It can be something so small. It does not have to be like you have to work hours at it kind of thing. I remember that I printed out like 100 quotes in on this sheet, and I would just write a new one every single day. When you change the date, I would also change the quote as well. And it got to where kids would come in just to see the quote. I mean, they may not have class because of a pep rally or a speaker or something, and they would still come in to see what the quote is the day because they didn't want to miss it because they knew it would be gone for tomorrow. So just to give them that little bit of, I can't wait to get to that class. I'm kind of excited about that part, I wonder what that is, kind of thing. Also, just different things like a couple of times I would just put like group 1, 2, 3, and 4 on the boards, and the first person who came in could put their name on a group. And so they got to where they were like rushing in, and they were, having all kinds of fun and, trying to pick the groups and everything else. So I did that a couple times, and it just seemed like it, or like the Real Care babies, when first come, first serve. So when it was that group's turn to do the Real Care babies, the first ones in, they were the ones that got to pick which ethnicity of the baby that they wanted, kind of thing. So it was just a little something to get them excited. Of course, cooking days they're excited about that when they run in and they're, excited about cooking. But, there are other fun days too. The last thing I forgot. Sometimes when we have like the bell work on the door or on the smartboard, would write something like, I noticed this. I noticed you guys did awesome discussing during your group work the other day. Or I noticed so-and-so picking up some trash. I noticed anything, really. Kelsey was sitting there when everybody else was talking. She was working on her work. Or, I noticed how great of a drawer, Wyatt is. Or anything like that. So that just kind of gives that positive culture. So that's the tips that I have for you today on the positive culture. We are going to talk about routines next week. Routines in your classroom. So, and every time I come on Facebook Live, I'm going to leave you with a teaching tip on, ways that you can, just little teaching things that you can do. And my goal is not for you to take any of this and be like, okay, I have to do this. This is what I need to do. But for me, myself, I taught for 13 years, and somebody would say, well, you could write the I noticed on the board. And I'd be like, well, yeah, you could do that. Or you could do this. So what I'm wanting to do is help you take your class to the next level. I'm going to give you lots of ideas for you to take and just make your own. That's my goal. So, my teaching tip today is basically for the time fillers, the time that kids get done and they have excess amount of minutes that they have nothing to do. How are you going to give them something to do? So I always try to make sure I had something in my back pocket. It might be an extra worksheet. It might be a game. It might be chores in my classroom. It might be, I don't know, just like some problem solving things like that are interesting, kind of things like that. Like I try to make it more fun so that it's not like a drag. It's more they're into it kind of thing. Okay, so my Thursday freebie tip for you today is to start off your classroom with the first time filler that you need is to create a survey that your kids can fill out and so that you better get to know them. Find out what motivates these kids. What triggers should you stay away from? You sometimes I feel like family consumer science teachers, we run a very thin line. We talk about families and we talk about, all that kind of, your health and all those kinds of things. And, sometimes we run into some triggers. We run into some family dynamics that it is just, you're walking on a thin line of, hurting somebody's feelings or making them feel bad or, thinking that their family's bad kind of thing. So I feel like getting this survey is just kind of helps you understand your students more and helps you know where to kind of weave when you have to weave and stuff like that. So, anywho, it also builds a better relationship with your kids. If you know your kids, if you know your students better, then you're going to be able to talk to that student, about Minecraft or, about cheerleading, anything that those kids are interested in. You now know how to start up a conversation with them. And that's just, one, it's just really cool. Two, it really helps in the end because then they will be a better student for you and it helps them learn better to have that relationship with you. So, before I go, I did want to say again, if you haven't got the opt-in, if you haven't got the 7 secrets of becoming an amazing family consumer science teacher, then go ahead and grab that so you have the checklist and kind of helps you be able to know where you need to work and where you feel like you already accomplished what you've already accomplished. So, anywho, okay, well, thank you very much, and we will see you later.